What's up, soldiers? Your boy Chris vibesing it up in the kitchen. Sunday afternoon. About to do a pilau, then I realized I had a question via Twitter. Chris, can you share your top tips for cooking pilau? If you guys have been following me for a while here on Facebook as well as YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, we all are there. We're all over the place, man. You would know I've been sharing from time to time my top tips for like jerk chicken, peas and rice, all these different things. So in today's video, I'm going to cover my top, I believe I have 8 tips of making the perfect chicken pilau. I mean, they say you can use it as a base for your own pilau and tailor it to your own liking, you know? So let's get cooking. So tip number 1, season and marinate your chicken for at least 2 hours. Overnight would be best, but I mean, they say 2 hours is fine. If you're looking for a video on how to season and marinate this chicken, check out my sub channel Food FAQ. A sub tip for as far as seasoning and marinating this chicken goes, try to remove all the fat and skin from the chicken, because we'll be using some vegetable oil in browning this chicken as well as the coconut milk. You don't want extra fat in here. So tip number 1, season and marinate that chicken. So tip number 2, and I hope you guys can see this, it's getting pretty smoky in here. When browning, so this is brown sugar. It's going to go frothy first. It's going to high heat in some vegetable oil. It's going to go frothy, then it's going to go an amber color, and this is where you're going to get that lovely stew flavor and color from. I'm just going to add all the pieces of chicken, and as you add it to the pot, I'm not sure if you guys can see this because it's so smoky in here, you'll want to move it around just to pick up all those flavors and color from the bottom of the pot. All I would do now, turn my heat down to like a medium and put the lid on there for about 10 minutes. Let that develop that color and flavor. After about 10 minutes, the chicken would have sprouted a lot of its own natural juices to really bring more flavor into this and more depth. Now, it may look a bit dark here, and some of you may be thinking, Chris, but your chicken burned. Trust me, that ain't burned here yet, because what's going on? Because we're going to be adding coconut milk and rice to this dish, you really want to start off with a rich color. Now, back to my original thought. So tip number 3 now is we're going to turn up the heat, because we want to burn off all that water that the chicken sprouted. As my mom would say, let the chicken fry down. So by frying it down now, we're going to develop even more color and really infuse the chicken with flavor. As the chicken fries down, what I like doing is I've got my carrots that I chopped up, and I've got my pigeon peas. I like adding it in here at this point to infuse more flavor into that and to give that some color as well. So tip number, what we at, 4 I believe now. If you're using the canned stuff, so the canned peas, what I like doing is to rinse off all that sodium and all that sort of brine that the peas is contained in here. You know what I mean? You don't, first of all, you don't want that sodium, and you don't want that affecting the overall flavor of your pilau. I'm letting that fry down, and then we're adding some more stuff to this. It's now time to add the next star ingredient, which is the rice, to the pilau. So I'm just going to crank my heat up. Well, the heat is already on high because we're frying this down. But that brings us to the next tip: wash your rice. I am using long grain parboiled brown rice here. So no matter what rice you're using, it is important that you wash that rice to get rid of any grit and the extra starch and stuff like that from it. So that tip, wash that rice. You really want to wash that rice. And a good Trinidadian pilau is not pilau without coconut milk, and this is fresh homemade coconut milk that I'm going in there with. Try to use the homemade stuff, that fresh stuff. I have a video on the Food FAQ channel Always showing you guys how to do this stuff. And by the way, as far as washing the rice goes, you have two options. You can put it in a strainer and massage it with running water until it runs clear, or in my case, I used the bowl, filled it with water, rinsed it, massaged it, dumped that water off. It's gonna go cloudy, and repeat it until that runs clear. Just gonna have to add some more liquid to this, bring it up to a boil, and let it cook, you know. Now here's where you're gonna personalize your pilau. Now remember, this is not an actual recipe for pilau. This is just my tips for a perfect pilau. So if you want the recipe, you can check out CaribbeanPot.com. My pilau, I like it nice and grainy. So if you like it wet, you can obviously add more water and adjust it. Taste it for salt. The same way, I'm just going to turn off my heat here because the residual heat is going to really dry that up and let it go nice and shelly or nice and grainy. The same way we started with that flavor by marinating the chicken, I like to end my pilau with flavor as well. So while it is still hot here, I like to go in with some scallions, some chopped scallions or green onions. And this other tip here is something my great aunt used to do, and that is the leaves of celery. She would chop up some celery and then just go in with that. And the final thing is some golden ray butter or salt butter. So if you're using golden ray butter, and I'm just going to go in with a piece of that golden ray butter. If you're using that, remember it is a salted butter, so bear in mind that it is going to add some more salt to your dish. So what I'm going to do now is stir that, put the lid on there, and let that remain for about 10 minutes before serving. So the celery, the salt butter, everything is going to add some flavor to this, and it's going to be the perfect pilau. Trust me on that one. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. The noise you're hearing in the background is just the dishwasher. Thing noisy? Functional kitchen, you know. Always a pleasure to have you guys here in the kitchen with me. I do apologize for the long video, but I really wanted to get across these points. Bless up, man.